Hey everybody, good afternoon. My name is Ashley Doddridge. I joined Color Street April 15th, 2018, and I am currently a Senior Executive Director. And I am here to talk to you guys today about overcoming objections. So if you are hopping on, please say hi. And if you're watching the replay, just say hashtag replay so that I know you're here. So I went to conference. Hopefully you guys got the opportunity to go to conference. And when I went to conference, I came back just completely motivated to do whatever I could to make things easier for my team to be more successful. And recruiting seems to be a struggle for a lot of people because we never quite know what to say. And I will say it gets easier with time, the more you hear the same objections over and over. But so basically I have a Google Doc that I can share after this training, but basically how it came about is I just had my team come up with all the objections that they're constantly hearing and then kind of came up with sample responses. So that's kind of how this came about. Thank you to Amanda for asking me to do this training. I actually get really nervous to do these trainings for these big teams, even though I talk to my team like literally every day live, but you know, it seems really different when it's a big team. So I think that's everything I have to say for an intro. If you have an objection that you hear that you don't hear me cover, feel free to ask and we can brainstorm live and try to come up with a good response for you. So let me just first say that I don't by any means consider myself like an amazing recruiter. I would say that I'm a consistent recruiter. I generally recruit about 2 to 3 people a month. So nothing huge. To some of you, it might seem like a lot. To others of you, it might not seem like very much, but I'm very consistent. So it seems to be 2 to 3 every month. So if you don't have a recruiting goal, I would encourage you to set one because I'm all about goals. You have to have a goal in order to know what you're working towards. So even if it's just one a month, set that goal and go for that goal. So when giving an objection or when hearing an objection, there's basically 4 steps. So these might be 4 steps you want to write down. But number 1 is obviously to listen. Make sure you are listening to the full objection. So don't hear that no and then immediately want to like jump in with a response. Make sure you're fully listening to what their objection is and making sure you fully understand their objection. Understand it. Usually I start by restating their objection, just like when you meet someone for the first time and they say, my name is Ashley. Oh, hi, Ashley. Similar to that. So if they say, oh, I don't really have the time, you know, you want to start by responding with, oh, I understand you feel like you don't have the time, to make sure that they know that you heard them and that you are listening to them, and then formulate your response. So listen, make sure you understand, respond, and then you want to confirm that you have fully satisfied or answered their questions or satisfied their objection. So those are kind of the 4 main bullet points that I cover. So one objection that seems to be really popular on my team, I don't know if this is like across the board, is having skeptical husbands. We always have the husbands wanting to hold us back. So a couple things that I came up with. So first is always try to relate it to yourself if you can. So if you are someone that had a skeptical husband in the beginning, try to relate it to yourself. If you weren't that person, then try to think of a teammate that maybe was in a similar situation that you can relate to. So a couple responses that we came up with were, if you had a skeptical husband, girl, you don't even know what a skeptical husband is until you met mine. Mine thinks everything is a scam, but I tried to point out that I would be spending this money anyway, so I might as well be selling it rather than just buying it. So something like that, letting them know that they're not the only person with a skeptical husband, that you were once there too. The other way that you can spin it, if you are not someone that had a skeptical husband, is just making it seem like that skepticism is more just care and concern for their wife. You can say something like, I totally understand them being skeptical. He's just looking out for you. But keep in mind, like, you're not under any type of contract. If this isn't for you, you can cancel at any time. And then it seems like a little less risky. You know, it's not like they're gonna get in and not be able to get out. So just trying to make them understand that. Me personally, because I had so many girls on my team telling me that husbands were saying no and they had people interested, my husband actually made a YouTube video for me of basically how Color Street has blessed our family's life from the husband's point of view. And so anytime I have somebody that is skeptical or a husband that's skeptical, I send them that video or I post that video in my considering group so that they can watch that and kind of hear it from a husband's perspective rather than from my perspective. So that's an option if you have a husband that doesn't mind being on a YouTube video. That marketing companies, MLMs, are scams. We hear that one a lot. This is one that I can personally relate to myself because I used to be one of those people. So again, just letting them know, you know, oh, I used to think that too, and then say how your views have changed. So I used to think that only the people at the very top of the company made any money, but I was so completely wrong. I've actually realized that you can make as much money as you want. It just depends on how much you're willing to put in. I usually state some type of kind of like average of kind of like where my team averages for sales, and then convert that to dollars per month. So just kind of like, you know, give them a general idea that yes, people are making money doing this. They are not losing money doing this. And then again, if that wasn't you, maybe you can relate it to a teammate. So maybe you had a teammate that was their fear before they joined, and then get their perspective. So some of these, like I said, it does help you the longer you're in the business and the more teammates you have to, you know, share their experiences. Hey, Gina. Hi, Nikki. I don't have the time. This is probably the one I personally hear the most, and it's actually my favorite one to get because this was me. It was my biggest concern because I had a not even 2-year-old and a newborn when I joined Color Street. So when people say I don't have the time, I pretty much want to laugh because I'm like, girl, I didn't even have the time to shower and brush my teeth when I joined Color Street, and I managed to find time to run a business. You know, you can too. Or, you know, you can, if that wasn't you, sympathize with them and just say, oh yeah, you sound like you're really busy. Give them some ideas of where they could fit in the time. So like, for example, for me, as much as I didn't think I had the time, I was nursing at the time, which if you've done that, you know it takes up a lot of time. So I would work my business on my phone while nursing. You know, you can find the time. I replaced a lot of my Facebook scrolling time with Facebook work time. So the fact that I can give them concrete examples of where I found time, where I didn't think I had any, helps people to realize that they can do it too. So sometimes I even ask them like, well, do you find yourself scrolling Facebook at work? Or when you come home from work, do you find yourself watching TV? I simply took those times and turned it into work times. Which, come on, it's more productive to make money than sit and watch Netflix and not make money, right? So just relate to people, and if you can relate it to yourself, it's always best. I've tried direct sales before and I wasn't successful. I hear this one a lot too. And again, it is helpful if you have someone on your team. Maybe this was you. I know a lot of people that do Color Street were in other businesses before. I was not. So this is one where I have to find a teammate that I can relate to. And typically when I get this one, I actually will put people on a group chat. I have several ladies on my team that either still do another business or previously did a business. And I'll just put them on a group chat so that they can give a first-hand perspective of how Color Street is different, how they've been able to be more successful. Granted, depending on what company they're with, it might not be an identical situation, but at least in my team's experience, almost everyone will say that they were more successful with Color Street than their previous business. So I feel like I have a lot of people that I can kind of connect with. So that would be my first suggestion, is just let them talk to somebody that has been in that position if you can't personally relate to it. But just an objection that you could use, it's definitely hard to want to try something new when something didn't work out the first time. However, Color Street is unique. Say why it's unique. We know it's affordable, which not all companies, their product is affordable. It's consumable, so people are always needing to buy more. And honestly, it sells itself if you hand out the samples. I mean, how many times have you wanted to try a product before buying it, but maybe you didn't have the option to try a sample? Plus, we're a walking advertisement. I mean, our nails get noticed everywhere. So just making sure you're pointing out those things that do make our company different, because honestly, even though I haven't done direct sales for another company, I do believe that our company is completely different, which is probably why I had never done another company before Color Street, because I thought everything was too expensive. And I was like, why am I going to spend twice as much when I can go to the store? This was the first product that I had ever tried and loved that I actually felt like I was saving money versus spending double. I'm not a salesperson. That is a popular one. So again, if you can relate to that and you don't feel like a salesperson, let them know that. I never saw myself as a salesperson either, but I have found that, because I love the product so much and because of my passion, that, I'm able to sell it because people can see how much I love it. Something like that. Or, you can comment on how we have all these amazing tools and trainings provided to us so that even if you know nothing about sales, you'll get all the training you need in order to be successful, which is completely true. I can't even tell you how much I've learned from all of the amazing trainings that we've been provided. So, just point out, where did you learn how to sell it? You're obviously selling it. How'd you learn? I don't think most of us are like natural born salespeople or had a sales type job before this. I could be wrong, but so I know a lot of people are worried about being annoying or rubbing people the wrong way, or like MLMs have a negative reputation and they just don't want their friends to judge them or think negatively of them, which I totally get, because again, I was one of those people too. And again, you're going to hear me continue to say this, but just relate to your own experience. Like say, girl, trust me, I feel the same way, but it's all about how you run your business. Color Street actually has policies in place to make us not spammy or annoying. I honestly feel like I'm doing people a favor when I introduce them to Color Street because they end up loving it so much. I know some people think that, but this company is one of the least demanding and non-pressure companies that I have ever come across. In fact, it's one of the things that sold me on joining. So again, relate it to yourself or or if you were not that person, relate it to somebody on your team that maybe had those negative, feelings before they joined. Don't have the money. This is also a popular one. I will say sometimes it's a legit excuse, and other times I think people are just scared, and so they, think they don't have the money. But I always tell people that, I basically like give them tips to save the money, which is just me. Like, I'm very good at budgeting and like saving money. So, like, I'll tell them to have a garage sale, sell $100 worth of your stuff, and then when you get that $100, buy the kit. Or I will ask them, like, well, how much extra of your paycheck do you think you could set aside every week? Usually they'll tell me like $15 to $25. And so I'll tell them, just put that $25 away for 6 weeks. And when you have the money, sign up. Because honestly, them putting in that investment and having to work to come up with that money is only going to make them a better stylist. I've had people that honestly have saved for 5 months before they signed up. And them having to work that hard to come up with that money is just going to make them that more motivated to not fail. So, give them those ideas of how to get that money and make them have to work for it, See, I'm trying to think if I have any other ideas for saving up money. I kind of already covered this one, but again, people, they don't want to bother their friends or be annoying to their friends. And this was totally a concern of mine, but I will say that it's just one of those things that your true friends are going to support you regardless, and let them know that. So yeah, maybe I have some people that unfriend me on Facebook because they don't want to see my Color Street posts. I don't really care, because I'm not going to let those people get in the way of what I want. My true friends are going to support me and cheer me on, and just let them know that that's been your experience and that that's what you have seen. Let them know that you don't feel like you have to be annoying. Do I reach out to people and ask them to host parties? Yes, but if I get a no, am I going to continue to ask them 500 million times and be annoying? No, because they're going to come back to me when they decide they want to host a party. So, things like that. Just point out how you feel like you don't have to be annoying. Or like when somebody requests a sample. They request a sample because they comment on your nails. You don't necessarily have to like go around, here, you want a sample, so just point out the ways that you have found that you don't have to be annoying and how people just want to try the product and come to you. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I feel like I'm talking kind of quickly. I don't want my success dependent on my friends and family to buy. So sometimes, I haven't personally heard this one, but this was one that my team came up with. People feeling like, that they're going to have to rely on their friends and family. And basically, I just let them know, you may need to use your friends and family to help you get started, but it's definitely not going to be your friends and family that sustain you in this business, because like we all know, people can only have so many nails. But your friends and family will host parties for you, then their friends and family will want to host parties for you, then their friends and families, and it'll just keep going. So as long as you are doing that, you're going to have people buying from you and sustaining your business without it having to be your friends and family. So just let them know that. Let them know how you've seen it happen. I always tell people, I live in Florida, and maybe only 10% of my customer base is in Florida, and I can just let them know kind of how that came about. And, let them know how you got started. So like for me, my mom, my best friend, and then one college friend that I sent a sample to that loved it. Those were kind of the 3 people that got me started. Are they the ones continuously buying from me? Absolutely not. Well, maybe my mom, but so just let them know that that's not how it works. And then I don't know enough people. So again, if that was you and you felt like you did not know enough people to make this business work, let them know that. Say, I used to think that too. But then when I thought about my friends and family, it also came to mind that I had coworkers, church friends, neighbors, people I could share with. And I realized that I actually knew more people than I felt like I did. Or you could say something like, that was a concern of mine too, but actually we have trainings that teach us how to build our network, how to grow and expand our networks. So even if you don't know that many people, it's not going to hold you back. Things like that. Me personally, I had pretty much, I was on Facebook, but literally was never on Facebook. I had an account, but I never posted. I barely ever checked it. And I was able to make a successful business out of, literally never being online pretty much. So it can definitely happen. So those are kind of the objections that our team said that they saw. Does anyone have an objection that maybe they hear that I didn't cover? I should throw in, actually, so one girl on my team messaged me last night, and she's like, oh, I have somebody that wants to sign up, but she's worried that everyone will just go buy the Walmart ones because they're cheaper. And she kind of cracked me up because she's like, you didn't cover this. This is not an objection that you covered. So again, if you've gotten this objection before, I haven't gotten it a lot because I don't feel like a lot of people even use the Walmart strips. But just be honest. Let them know it's one of our sister companies, but we've performed, we've improved our product, and that people really like buying from people. You can let them know that, they've been phasing them out of stores and that they have very limited, designs and colors, and that, the locations that you can get them now are limited. And then, just let them know that you haven't really seen it an issue. I think I have maybe one friend that, goes to Walmart, and she still buys from me whenever she can't get a design that she wants or likes. So that's another one. Anything else? Are there any objections that you guys hear often that I did not cover? And I can try to brainstorm with you. Okay. Well, like I said, always try to relate it to yourself if you can. If you can't, obviously you want to be honest, but try to relate it to a teammate or a friend or someone that has had that objection. And then just make sure you are fully listening, you respond, and then just make sure that that satisfies them and that they don't have another objection, that you don't assume that they just have one and that you've covered it. Make sure there's nothing else that you can do to help them. But that's all I have. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for those of you that were able to tune in on a Friday afternoon. I know this is a tough time for some of you. But yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for letting me join you. Hopefully you learned something. I always say if you get at least one takeaway, then you're good. So, all right. Have a good Friday, everybody.